It is wild that like they're just like older dudes who know all the lingo, and I have no idea what any of it is.
And we're never doing that off the top of our heads.
No,
Like
it's
if we'll be like,
we do
hey,
research.
I found out this term. Okay, now let's say it 300 times for 2 episodes, and we'll never think about it again.
Yeah, we're
cool.
like a lame high school teacher where we find out one word and we're like, "Oh, isn't it cool that I know this word now?"
Yeah.
And all the kids are like, "That was like done 3 weeks ago. Please stop."
I hope all of this woke crew is feeling fresh today. Like that's what we are. But they were talking about
this classroom is bussin', am I right?
Brunch. Hit it, boys.
Okay, a lot of people are mad at Kanye about the whole like charging them for Donda 2 and then Donda 2 doesn't come out yet. I'm not, because I didn't know that Donda 2 was even a thing. I haven't even listened to Donda 1.
Yeah, same. I did not know that Donda 2 was a thing. I
Could
thought we
not
were
be-
still talking about the original.
Could not be more out of the loop on Kanye West, I realized this very day, which is weird because every 3 seconds we get news about Kanye West.
Yeah, I know the things that are going on with Kanye's personal life, which not very good.
Right. Well, like that, I'm like, yo, like let that stuff sort itself out.
Right.
Let him handle his affairs in private, please. But I'm getting secondly updates on that.
Right. And I can be invested in that. I don't know if I particularly care about Kanye's music career anymore. I think I'm kind of out.
So that's sad, and like I want to defend him against that comment, but I just said
You just
I
didn't know
didn't
that his
listen
album was coming out.
I didn't listen to Donda 1. Haven't been thinking about Donda 2. Didn't love the gospel album. It was okay. Really, the last thing that I really liked from Kanye was Life of Pablo. But even going back before that, I wasn't much of a Yeezus guy at all. Yet I'm just like, this is a stream of consciousness. Like I'm realizing like I still do defend Kanye musically at every turn, and I definitely don't care about Kanye's music.
Well, I mean, like, it's one of those situations where it's like, you know, if somehow he magically finds it again,
Yeah.
it's you want to be there.
Yeah.
But he hasn't found it in a long time.
I'm going to give myself some homework. Listen to all the recent Kanye I haven't checked out, but during the Super Bowl when Dre was playing his famous catalog, my friend said something to the effect of, yeah, like Dre was, and I don't know why this is what I went for. I was like, his like era's Kanye, and my friend was like, what? No. Why do you think that like Kanye is his era's Dre? And I was like, yeah, like producer who did a lot of really good like rapping as well, and like made some classic albums. And he was like, oh man, he was like, I just never saw like Kanye in that light. And I was like, oh, Kanye's like,
It's a fair discussion. Like, Kanye's had as much cultural impact as anybody else.
Yeah, like we never started doing this word, but like Kanye is goated, as the kids say, right?
I don't know if I know what GOAT is, but like, does goated just mean that he's the best?
I think it's like the knighted version of you're the goat. I first
that
got
doesn't
it.
make any sense because there can only be one the goat.
Oh, I know that's never made sense. But I first saw it when.
Why can't we just say that people are great?
Dude, we've been fighting this for a while. I first learned of GOAT through you, though.
Really?
I posted a video 600 years ago. It was like Freddie Mercury giving the best performance, and he doesn't even know the words. And he was singing Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy, and he was like, ooh, lover boy, what you do tonight? Hey, boy. Rum bum 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 ba bum. That's because I'm a good. And like he just didn't know the words, but he just like marched on and did like a very enthusiastic rum bum bum.
He's the GOAT.
And I posted it, and you responded. And this was like during our Twitter courtship. You just responded like, GOAT. And I was like, I remember I was sitting in the Bruins media room tweeting about Freddie Mercury. Everybody else, because everyone's like sitting on their computers, like doing work and like writing stuff and transcribing stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to transcribe this on the train on my phone. So while we're just sitting around, I'm going to get off some Freddie Mercury clips. Yeah, you responded GOAT. And I was like, but it was all caps. And I did like some light Googling and found out it meant greatest of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, there is an argument, yes, that Freddie Mercury is the greatest of all time. Pete thinks that Freddie Mercury
I still do.
is the greatest of all time. Okay, that's a thing I know about Pete now.
The
but
greatest singer of all time.
But now we know that's not what GOAT means. GOAT means fucking cool.
Yeah. Essentially, it's just turned into like, hey, a pretty good thing.
Yeah.
It's been so overused that now it's lost all meaning.
I first saw GOATED from a Dylan tweet because somebody tweeted, I forget who it was, but somebody, and I'm not like throwing shade at this person, I legitimately forget who it was, but they were like, how good, like seriously, how good is Elton John? And those tweets are always, they're well intentioned, and I'm not trying to hate, but like those are always tough because I'm like, I mean, it's Elton John.
Yeah, right.
Are you asking how good Elton John is? Like, even if you don't listen to Elton John, I hope you know Elton John is incredible.
Do you know who played piano on Elton John's Man Across the Pond?
Madman Across the Water.
Madman Across the Water.
I was enough time has passed that did we end up spoiling it on the last episode? We still chose not to. That was so funny. So in Jackass Forever, they play it's like a game show, and you get the question wrong, a thing slaps you in the nuts, and this guy, poor Poopsie, the question he's asked by Johnny Knoxville is, who played piano on Elton John's Madman Across the Water? And he just barely got it.
He was very was like
the other contestants were
Elton
mad.
John?
Yeah, like the other contestants are mad. Like, how come I didn't get this question? That's like the easiest thing in the world. And he just barely got it. But yeah, so there was a tweet. It was like, how good is Elton John? And Dylan quote tweeted with, Elton is goated. And I was like, I don't know if that's a Dylanism or what. I found it's not. They're just so good, yo. Like the Circling Back crew, especially Will. They're so good with like being on top of
like the lexicon,
whatever the kids are saying.
Yeah. They have kids, but their kids are like too young to be putting them up on game.
Yeah.
So it is wild that like they're just like older dudes who know all the lingo, and I have no idea what any of it is.
And we're never doing that off the top of our heads.
No.
Like
if
we'll be like,
we do
hey,
research.
I found out this term. Okay, now let's say it 300 times for 2 episodes, and we'll never think about it again.
Yeah, we're
cool.
like a lame high school teacher where we find out one word and we're like, "Oh, isn't it cool that I know this word now?"
Yeah.
And all the kids are like, "That was like done 3 weeks ago. Please stop."
I hope all of this woke crew is feeling fresh today. Like that's what we are. But they were talking about.
Ooh, this classroom is bussin', am I right?
Yeah. You're gonna want to hear the episode of our latest podcast. It is very bussin'. They were talking about on Circling Back. What was it? Oh, it was something like Eli. What's my guy's name?
Eli Apple?
Elon Musk.
Okay.
I'm having a rough day with names, but Elon Musk was coming up with something, and there's going to be a thing where you could theoretically feel the pleasure that you give your partner. And they brought that up. They were like, oh, they're developing a thing, and you can experience the pleasure that your partner experiences. And Will right away says exactly what we're all thinking, but he articulated it better. What do you think we're all thinking when you hear that?
I don't know. My first thought was like, who out there is like putting time and energy into being like,
yeah,
okay,
cancer's still happening.
We need to make sex more pleasurable.
I don't even know if that makes it. I mean, it depends on who you think is like the real.
That's true. Like
the real winner.
It's a real like analytical
who's like the sexual breadwinner
yeah.
in a partnership. But the first thing I heard was like, why would you want to know exactly how, pardon my French, like good you are? You know, like so.
It's a dangerous game.
Yeah, exactly. Because you could find like, oh, fantastic, and then you're like, well, then I guess not much room to grow. I'm still relatively young. What the hell? Or you find out like not as good as you think.
Chances are not as good as you think.
I would say like close to as good. I don't get carried away with myself.
Okay.
I don't think like
You don't get caught up in the performance?
No, I mean when was the last time you heard me say that I was like awesome at anything? Like if
True.
I am awesome at something, I'll let it catch me by surprise.
Okay.
I'm not going to
I mean, like, why spoil that? Why spoil that discovery?
I mean, I always got, we've talked about this before, like I always got douche chills from like when dudes were sitting around being like, oh man, I was doing this, I was doing that and everything. I was like,
No, you weren't.
I bet
I bet you weren't.
I bet that this is all being embellished.
I
But
bet she's having a very different conversation with her friends right now.
So that's I think the thought that most people like would think when you hear that, like, why would I want to know how good I am? Will, though, right away says something to the effect of like, nah, dog, I ain't doing that. What if I'm hella mid in the sack?
That's awesome.
What if I'm hella mid?
Did you know? I've known Mid for a while. Do you know Mid?
I think that like that was what confirmed me.
introductory?
No, like I think I'd heard it floated around before, but
It's a drug thing.
oh really?
It's a weed thing. Like if you have stinky weed, your weed stinks. You
It's
got
mid?
Yeah.
Interesting. I only deserve mid, like
Yeah.
mid weed. By the way,
As
I didn't
Will
know
will
this.
tell you.
Speaking of
Mids get it done sometimes.
speaking of weed and diet smoke and all those things, it was brought to my attention recently. And I'm gonna sound so fucking stupid here, but you know, like they're putting fentanyl in weed now.
No,
Yeah,
that's scary.
that's like horrifying.
Yeah, fentanyl is like that is like the scariest thing that exists. To
Right.
me.
Yeah, but and someone told me all this. So if I'm wrong on any of this, like do your own research for sure. But basically, like the summary I was given was like the stuff that's killing people is like synthetic fentanyl, because fentanyl is a thing that if you get in, I don't know, like an accident or something, and like you go to the emergency room, they might say like, okay, we're gonna give you fentanyl, and people apparently are actually like scared, and they hear that term and they're like, no, thank you, because they think it's that. But yeah, apparently I'm just gonna Google this so I'm not
Super wrong.
right.
Not that we're opposed to being super wrong, but this seems like the wrong subject to be super wrong about.
Yeah.
My conspiracy theory is that the government is really
Well, like,
messing with a lot of the street drugs.
not
and
to
throwing-
point fingers, but how would you guess that all got there? If that's happening, and this is Elkhart fire issue warning after fentanyl laced marijuana leads to overdoses. This is in Indiana. So my guess would be someone who would rather you
buy
it
from
from the government.
and they can
would.
tax it. Yes.
Yeah. So like, folks, hope you're getting your stuff from
Legal places.
like, do it legally, not to be a square like me, because again, I've said this a few times. If you told me I had like one day to produce marijuana
Yeah.
before you could buy it legally, I'd just say, let's save ourselves the day.
Yeah.
Just get rid of me now.
Or buy it legally or grow your own.
Grow your own. Interesting.
Seems like a fun thing. Fun little project.
Is it? I'm so dumb.
It's
got to be
it seems like
legal now.
It's legal, yeah, but it's also a lot of work.
Yeah,
It's legal. It's legal, but like regulated, obviously.
every time growing marijuana is portrayed in film, what do you see them doing
Lights.
the most?
A lot of lights and watering.
A lot of lights, but a lot of like snipping, clipping, little
That's
like
true.
scissors
Well, I think
going up to the plants.
Well, I think that's they're
Now the
smoking
marijuana is going to be perfect.
it. I have enough trouble keeping houseplants alive.
Yeah.
Never mind keeping them alive and then willingly ingesting them into my own body.
Love me a big, tall houseplant.
Same.
That's like some like real basic early quarantine stuff, but
I'm more of like a fake houseplant guy. No work, but they look great.
and the big houseplant that I use is a Christmas tree.
Hell yes.
Just put it right there in the corner. What's the difference? They're all what? Oh, because you got a nice cool dog, I'm not allowed to get a great rescue. They're all dogs.
It's true.
Okay? Let me put what was the tweet about the dogs that somebody said, like, if you had $100 to buy a dog. Oh no,
I would get a puppy, and
Yeah.
it's like please don't buy, adopt or whatever. And it was like
this was a children's kindergarten
It was
assignment.
a kindergarten assignment. It was like, if you had $100, what would you get? This kindergartner was like, I would buy a puppy, and a bunch of responses on Twitter was like, please adopt, don't shop. And then there was like $100. It could get you a puppy, but you're
How you
not
gonna
going to buy
feed
your
it?
food. Yeah. Just Twitter brain is the best.
It's something. So
As we mentioned on the Oscars podcast that we recorded earlier today, will be coming out this week. Our mini Oscars preview is kicking off.
Yeah.
We started out with Nightmare Alley
Nightmare
and
Alley.
Coda are the first
Coda.
two this week. If you want to listen to those, get put up on Game for some of the Best Picture nominees. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/listenabrunch.
this is the time to be doing it because it's
Not only
bussin'.
Not only are you getting a ton of content, we're very close to the sleepover, which is more content.
Yeah, we
I
are.
saw the Circling Back boys are excited about the sleepover.
Really?
They were talking about having us down to Austin for the sleepover.
Wow.
That would rock. But as I was saying on the
We're 7 away.
come on.
I mean, come
Come
on.
on.
We're 7 away with how many days left in the month? 5 as of your listening.
Yes, it's a short month, so please get on it.
I mean,
1.5 per day, and we're there.
it would be so bussin' if you could just please get us to 350.
But as I was saying on the Patreon episode, is I think the children are getting better in terms of like morality and just behavior, and somehow adults just continue to get worse.
Without question. Not even close. I don't want to be like to do like a weekly soapbox thing, and I've said this 3,000 times, but there's a lot of things I repeat and that are stupider than this, so I'll repeat it for a millionth time. The way that we look back on, any human looks back on yesterday, last week, last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and wants something back, whether it's like a failed relationship or like I should have been nicer to this person or should have tried harder at this. Like, we all have those things, even if you are like a always look forward, blah, blah, no, don't dwell on the past. Like, there's things that with the wisdom of years, of course, every human being would do differently. I
You
think
don't have
that
to dwell on the past, but like looking back on the past.
Oh,
being
yeah.
like I wish that I did this differently.
Oh yeah,
or-
Felger says this all the time. Like, the dumbest thing that a person can say is like, if I go back, I'd do it all over again. Like, if you could go back, regardless of the situation, you would do everything exactly the same.
Right.
Then you are an idiot. You are given the opportunity to learn,
To correct your mistakes. And you're
correct
like, "Nope,
mistakes,
I did
do
it
something
right."
smarter. Like, I mean, like, right? Like, take it with anything. You could go back and do anything differently. You'd be a lot richer.
That's true.
Like-
Get in on crypto and be like, just pop off.
Exactly. Like, your first job after college, what would you do differently? I would take a break one day and buy crypto.
Yeah.
Doing that differently would change your life.
That
but
is very true. I'd not thought about how stupid it is to say that. Like, I wouldn't
It's-
do anything differently.
there's a few things that
You can be like,
stand out to me. I wouldn't do anything differently. When white people say I don't have a racist bone in my body, I'm like, yo, like when people are
or I don't see
born,
color. That's
they
a good
are
one, too.
yeah, like I'm like they are just like when humans are born, they're doused in stupidity. They are like there's so much bad shit is either passed on and not like I'm not saying like everybody's parents are like racist or bad people or anything,
No,
but
but-
like a lot of things, whether it's like curriculum in school or the way that like wherever you grew up, like there's
Okay.
still shit all over there that gets all over you. So if you're the one fucking person who never fucking got any of that dumb shit sprayed on you,
Yeah.
good for you.
Well-
But what you should be saying instead of I don't have a racist bone in my body is like constantly fucking check yourself and reflect on shit and try to learn a little bit. The shit of like just denying problems that exist is it gets to me, but it's also been happening for so long.
Well, that was a big thing too a couple weeks ago when like I don't know if anybody saw it on Twitter, but like when there was the New Jersey Devils Lunar New Year's jerseys that came out, and like I had said like upon first glance, like this reminded me of Nazi banners based on the colors, like the way that they were hung, the shapes of them, and people were like, yo, if your mind goes there, that is very fucked up, and you're kind of telling on yourself. And I was like the more I thought about it, it's like I think that like there's a problem to be exposed there in terms of like how much we are exposed to like Nazi culture and like Nazi imagery and things like that versus like Asian culture.
Yeah.
I didn't know that like there were banners and stuff, and like yes, that's on my own ignorance, but it also is like what we consume here in America, and like there is a lot more exposure to Nazi imagery via like pop culture and like now outside of pop culture, unfortunately.
Right.
But like there's not a lot of I think it's getting better, but there's not a lot of exposure to Asian culture.
Absolutely. I mean, between that and the way, like I'm pretty devastated by what the curriculum was with like American history and like
so heavily World War II.
Yeah, like a lot of bows are placed on things that didn't quite have bows, and it was like a lot of like, okay, and the Little Rock Nine happened, and then poof, racism gone. We're now going to show you Remember the Titans. Like everything is wonderful, and that's where you get idiots that when racism is pointed out or like, hey, this is a problem, we need to change
Like,
it.
why are you
People
making
are
everything
like,
about race? Racism's
no,
over.
I saw blah blah, and it's like, just I don't know. The thing I always say is like, just be willing to reflect,
Listen.
check yourself as much as you check other people. That's a big problem where, especially like I think that not all white people, but there is like a real defense mechanism after the George Floyd murder of like, I need to prove that I'm not the worst one. And
Well, I mean, that's all the internet is now. It's like, how can you prove that you're better than somebody else, or how can you prove that somebody else is worse than you?
yeah, and with something as like serious as that, I think like it's well intentioned, but also it's like, all right, this isn't about just you.
I mean, I think we said it at the time too. It's like this is a good time to step back and just like sit on the sidelines for a little bit.
Yeah. As like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure we did talk about it, but like ask fucking questions that you've not asked because you've been like, oh, well, it would be awkward if I asked that, or it would be inconvenient if I asked that. It's like, okay, well, then where's that fucking got us? Just some real, to use a Wordle word, real just like tacit endorsement of the status quo, and status quo obviously has needed to change. So that was a quick little detour. But the point I was going to make is
Subscribe to the Patreon.
The way that we look back on shit and say like, you do this differently, you wish that this different thing happened, everything. We're going to look back on now and say, I wish we were nicer to each other.
I fucking hope it's soon. I mean, we've had some cycles of this in this podcast life where like when we started this podcast, a big thing that we always talked about was like how dudes need to be less like toxic, less toxically masculine,
Yeah.
and like and sort of erase some things. And I think that overall that has shifted pretty significantly in like the last 5-6 years. Is that
just like dudes
are,
being better?
Yeah, dudes just being like it's okay to like think that dude's hot, or like
Oh,
it's okay
yeah.
to like not try to be the toughest guy on the fucking block.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that's probably the internet and people, like, what makes you a quirky person in whatever circle. If you put that on the internet and there's so many more people there, it's like, okay, well, that's less common when you're actually dealing with
Like a group,
a
like
group
small
of
group,
people because people will identify with shit, whether that's like being depressed, whether that's
That's true.
like having whatever qualities you think makes you a weirdo. Like I've always, my whole life, I've considered myself to be like kind of a weirdo, but for all intents and purposes, I'm kind of like standard issue, like given.
You're weird, but like you're not super weird.
Right. But I mean, not to turn into a therapy session, but I just always like felt like a bit more of the weirdo. But now it's like, oh no, a lot of people are neurotic about the things that you're neurotic about. A lot of people have like the
There's
obsessions with like bands that you have.
Yeah, but there's also like I mean the internet has opened that up, but there's also more of a willingness for people to admit that like they have like their mental flaws. Like that stigma's getting lifted a little bit, which is nice. And
Yeah.
So there's more of a welcome. It's
Still
weird
work to be
say.
done. I
Like,
still
the
don't
internet is
like-
welcoming, but it's also very not welcoming.
Right. There's still like the, hey, I decided I don't like you, so we're not going to consider mental health stuff with you
Yes.
because you are
'Cause I have a narrative to push.
yeah. I've got a narrative to push.
Great.
I've tried a million other deodorants. That's the narrative.
Okay.
Would you like me to continue?
Please continue.
And Native works best for me.
Ooh.
I'm talking about a deodorant. It's called Native, and I know that different deodorants can give you different stuff. Like some will have a lot of the ones with the antiperspirant in it will have the aluminum in there. You know that?
No.
Oh yeah, if you're getting like the white stuff,
Okay.
there's aluminum in that.
Okay. That's
And
no good.
I don't want aluminium in my. Have you ever heard people say it that way?
No.
That's like the Jaguar way of saying aluminum.
Okay.
I don't want aluminium on my underarms. I work hard on those, and I don't want to just toss Reynolds Wrap. Not Reynolds Wrap. Is Reynolds Wrap the foil?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's
Yeah, they've
the?
got the,
Saran Wrap is the clear
Yes,
one.
That's right.
I don't want to. I'll toss Saran Wrap on there because you know what that would mean?
That you're keeping all the sweat in.
It would mean I just got a tattoo.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Sometimes
they do that.
a little Saran Wrap on your arms when you get a tattoo, and as they're doing that, they're gonna want it to smell good. So why not toss some Native on there? When it comes to personal hygiene, who has time to read that long list of ingredients on the back of a bottle? Some ingredients I can't even pronounce. If you're like me and care about what goes on your body, then do me a favor. Try Native personal care products just like I did. Every Native product is thoughtfully formulated to keep you feeling and smelling fresh all day long. Best known for their aluminum-free deodorant, Native wants to help you practice safe sweats, which is why they keep their ingredients list bare naked with ingredients you understand like coconut oil, shea butter, baking soda. Shea butter hits, man.
Yeah. Oh
Shea
yeah.
butter is one of the, I would say, top
It's one of my top
beauty
two favorite
product butters. Not for me, quite honestly. I'm going regular butter and cinnamon butter, honey butter. 4 is going to be shea butter.
Okay.
But it would be impractical to put any of those other butters.
What about Nutter Butter?
Nutter butter is very good.
Nutter Butter is
Have you ever had
very
the chocolate covered Nutter butters?
No.
Those are, maybe I'll get you some for the flight. I'm probably not going to be eating on the flight because I go genius, but I might.
Yeah,
might-
I'll give you $50 if the flight attendant comes around with the snack card and you go, no thanks, I'm a genius.
Here's what I'm going to do. I can't do this if it's going to make them feel awkward or
Oh, it
like,
definitely
are they
will.
playing a joke on me thing? I'm going to point to, I'm going to say no and point to what she thinks are my headphones and think, well, that maybe he's saying like he's listening to something or whatever, but I'm pointing to, no, I'm a genius.
Well, you're not getting $50
I'm
for
gonna,
that.
I'm gonna give her the temple tap.
Okay.
Also, why am I saying her sexist much?
Yeah, that's right. Just after we were talking about how men have gotten better.
But like shit like that, man. Like I wish I didn't say that,
Yeah.
but that's like a
But you
that's
did, and
that's
now
that's
you're
a
canceled.
reminder that
Show's
no,
over,
like
folks.
that's a reminder though that like we have little fucking dumb things like that in us that when you catch them, fucking check yourself. Don't do it again. Next time we talk about flight attendants, I'm not going to, for some reason, say woman because that like was sexist. It's not this person shouldn't have a job, terrible sexist, but it's this person doesn't like that the first thought when he was talking about a flight attendant was woman.
Slightly sexist.
It was, I think without question, sexist.
Very cool to say sexist stuff in the middle of an ad read. I'm sure
Native
they're gonna be thrilled.
deodorant checks a lot of boxes. 24-hour odor protection, naturally derived ingredients, a smooth residue-free application, and over 10 cents to choose from. And I ain't talking about money.
Ooh, that's not a dime, folks.
Natives, but you will be when you're smelling all dimed up. Native's coconut and vanilla scented deodorant has been a fan favorite for years, and other scents include lavender and rose, that's a good one, cucumber mint, or even unscented. All of Native's scents are bussin'. Recently, Native has partnered with Baked by Melissa with a collection of scents inspired by Baked by Melissa's delicious cupcake creations. From tie-dye vanilla cupcake, mint cookie cupcake, fresh peach cupcake, to ginger lemonade cupcake, they are sure to make your day a little sweeter. Notice all those scents?
They all got cupcakes.
All cupcakes. So
We
now
know
is
what
the
Melissa
time
does.
to make the switch from an antiperspirant to Native. When you visit their site, you can discover all their fresh scents and maybe even try out one of their moisturizing body washes while you're at it. I'm telling you, I tossed that on and I like it. It doesn't have the aluminum, which is important for me. I don't want to get that aluminum going. And sometimes if I do, like, I don't know if I'm supposed to say other brands, but if I do like a certain red one, it burns.
Ooh, that's no good.
Yeah.
Don't want that. No
So-
irritation.
Yeah, it can be irritating, but I'm not irritated with Native. Not
I got a
once.
nice charcoal one that they sent me. And
That's a good one.
So I'm very excited about that.
And it's got the appearance too.
It's a dark charcoal.
It's real stuff. Smell and feel fresh all day long with Native. Get 20% off your order by going to nativedeo.com/brunch or use promo code brunch at checkout. That's nativedeo.com/brunch or use promo code brunch at checkout for 20% off your first order. I never thought I would do this, but I rewatched Uncut Gems.
That is wild. I haven't done it yet. I've come close so many times, and I just can't put myself through it. I can't do Uncut Jams.
Uncut Gems. That's why I did
Uncut
it. I just couldn't get it out of my head, and then I started watching Julia Fox interviews from like go on like Jimmy Fallon or something or Jimmy Kimmel because when the movie was coming out, and I was like, I got to find out how this person talks. Like I'm not rewatching the movie. It's out of the
I
question.
didn't notice in the movie.
So yeah, so I was like, I got to see this person's voice. Are they doing that with a bunch of stuff? Maybe there's more laughs to be had, not at her expense. Again, we all have our weird things. And then I just ended up watching like Kevin Garnett on Jimmy Fallon, Adam Sandler on Jimmy Kimmel, and I was like, well, I got to watch this movie now. I'd given it as many did, the Inside Llewyn Davis Award for best movie I will not be watching again.
yeah.
There was
That's a
such
very
a
good one,
stressful, such a stressful watch.
Yeah, Llewyn Davis is a good one. I have not seen that for a second time because it is the most depressing movie that has ever existed.
I think I've rewatched certain scenes, but I'll even like turn off. Like I'll watch the
I've listened
Queen
to Please,
Jane
Mr.
scene.
Kennedy
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever a million times.
I'll watch like certain scenes, but then I'll know like, ooh, once he finishes this song, someone will tell him to like get a partner. So I'm gonna turn it off before that happens. But I never thought I would watch it again. There were a couple of close calls where I was like, yo, it's just Uncut Gems. We can do this. But then like when you call it up on your cable box,
Yeah,
and it's like there and it's staring you in the face, you're just like heart starts pounding.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I've come so close so many times, and I just can't bring myself to press the play button.
I remembered a good amount of the movie considering I had only seen it once because I'd put myself through the experience of like, so if you hit play here, it's gonna show the people mining for the opal, And then
It's like a big heart introduction, right? It's a heart where it's like it goes through like the pumping of the veins and stuff.
they I don't know if it starts with the heart, but
No, but that's like the title sequence.
oh well, there's the colonoscopy.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So it goes from they find the opal and like they're looking at and it just like zooms in on the diamond and then keeps going and then it's inside of of him and then it's like and I'm thinking about all this as I'm about to watch it. I'm like, and then once he's in that shop, it's like, okay,
We're off.
you like
We're
go,
not stopping.
Yeah, exactly. Like go now because there's not an exit for
Yeah, it is essentially like the
60 miles.
the Mad Max Fury Road of like just being a very irresponsible gambler.
Except everybody's talking the whole time.
Yeah.
Mad Max is intense, and they're not even talking.
Right.
All they do in like they don't talk a lot in Mad Max, right?
Not a ton, no.
Yeah. All they do, obviously, in Uncut Gems, is talk. And I had forgotten that soundtrack. Do you remember what the score is like?
No.
It's all like eerie synth stuff. It's like
Okay.
very like sci-fi shit. Like a lot of like and it's really fucky.
It's a great movie.
It's an outstanding movie. Lakeith Stanfield is as good an actor as there is,
I fucking
and this was
forgot that he
still
was in that movie.
yeah, and this
He
was
kidnaps
still
him.
when he's like, no, he doesn't kidnap him. That's
Doesn't he take him to the 76ers practice facility?
oh. Wait, does he? I know that there is a scene where they're at the.
Yeah, I think he's like tells him to get in the car and they drive all the way to this.
Oh
the
yes. Yeah.
76ers.
Yeah, that's when he's getting the opal back from Kevin Garnett.
Yeah.
No, I thought you were talking about like when he gets locked in the trunk
Oh no,
because
no.
that's Arno and Phil in the
Yeah.
gang. And what's so that movie's great for a lot of reasons, but the wildest shit about it is, do you remember the movie well enough?
It's been a while.
Yeah. What do you think is the most shocking part of the movie?
Well, I mean, aside from the obvious.
I mean, what, his death?
Yeah.
So that didn't stun me. That
Initially?
no.
Wow, okay.
I was like, oh my god, this guy is like Phil just sitting there like, yo, as soon as it's like 50-50, he's going to live or he's
Yeah.
going to die. But what's
Well, that's 50-50 for all of us.
right. But what's shocking and what like fucks with me the most in that movie is that he kills Arno right after. Remember?
No.
So Arno is his brother-in-law who's the like loan shark.
Yeah.
And he's the guy that's bringing that Phil thug around.
Yeah.
And it's him and like another henchman, and he locks them in the thing while he
Yeah.
watches the game, and then he wins. Bet hits. He lets them in, and Phil shoots him in the head.
Yeah.
And Arno's like, "Fuck! Like, what'd you do?" And Phil's like, "You stay right there." And then he tries to run away, and he shoots him in the head. That to me is the most shocking fucking thing. It like suddenly becomes a Phil movie for a second. I'm like, "Yo, Phil, what did you just do? You killed your boss. That guy's got connections."
Yeah.
Like, I wish that movie went on for as hectic as it is. I'm like,
I don't think
give me
anybody wished that
12
movie
more
went-
minutes of
Yeah.
that movie, because what the fuck happens to Phil and his buddy? They then rob the place blind, but like they couldn't have gotten very far.
Yeah, I don't there's no conclusion to that. I don't remember.
No, so I'm gonna show it to you because it's crazy. I've since like watched this scene a couple more times because it's just nuts. Uncut Gems. What's his name? Howard. Julia Fox famously gets a Howard tattoo for him after he leaves her. And when he's like really hit rock bottom, he's got his ass kicked after Phil has cracked him a couple of times. He's crying and
Is
he's
this
like,
before or after she hooks up with the Weeknd?
after, but I don't believe they hook up.
Weren't
She
they like
touches
in the
his
bathroom
dick.
or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's saying, I'm interested in taking our relationship further. She's saying no. He says, feel how hard I am. And
Okay.
she's like, wow, how are you that hard? And I'm like, all right, well, Julia, a line has been crossed here. And then he walks in.
Okay.
that to me is the most shocking thing. And I remember some people had complaints about the end of the movie. They were like, "Oh, like the end of the movie was stupid." I'm like, "Yo, the end of the movie is crazy."
Yeah. It's just a dude that like was so his buttons were so pushed that he
Yeah.
just killed
Yeah.
the guy who has his money and the guy who's his boss.
Yeah. But tell you what, Howard dies happy.
Yeah, he
Like
has this
there's
big
like
smile on
yeah,
his face.
there's some like real. Obviously, he didn't want to die in that moment, but like for, and I'm this. Don't mistake this for like minimizing the plight of degenerate gamblers, but like his headspace, like in that moment, like the happiest he could be
That's
is
probably-
like winning
yeah.
a huge bet.
Yeah, and I mean that's like probably the happiest a degenerate gambler has ever died. Because usually when a degenerate gambler dies, I would imagine
Like
that they-
as a
it's-
related to their
right,
thing,
yes. It's probably like because they realize that they've been losing too much.
it can be
yeah.
much worse than
It's dragged out.
Howard's demise. But fuck, like the whole thing, and then the high roller that Julia has
Oh,
get
yeah.
the money. It just that's a great movie. I don't think I'll be watching it a third time for a while, but man, and Kevin Garnett, it was funny. I don't know if Jimmy Kimmel realized he did this, but he had Adam Sandler on, and he's like, tell me, like, how do you feel when people say, like, oh my God, you were so good in this movie? Like, we've talked about the whole, like, whoa, Adam Sandler can act. Like, yeah, no shit, he's an actor, and he's a good actor. He was like, are you offended when people, like, say, like, yo, like, really, you're very good? And he's like, no, like, they probably know me for one thing, and this is a different movie, and, like, I'm not offended at all. Like, I'm just happy that they liked it. Just classic sweetheart Adam Sandler stuff. And the next segment, they brought out KG, and I don't think Kimmel meant to do this, but he was like, I was floored by how good you were in this. Like, wow. I mean, it's obviously different.
You're right. It's not his job.
Right. But KG is good in it.
He is very good. Yeah.
The scene, I realized this is how I win scene gets some not great Bob type treatment where people hear the not great Bob gif as different than the actual not great Bob. People see the gif and they think, not great Bob.
Mm-hmm.
I see the this is how I win, and I hear like, this is how I win, just like the classic Howard voice. That's not how he says it.
This is how I win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's talking about, because KG's getting on him for,
'Cause,
you
yeah.
invested $100,000 in this. You said it's worth millions.
Yeah, he talks about like how KG prepares for like a big game or
Yeah.
whatever, and like how he wins with
Yeah.
the Celtics, and he's like, "This is how I win."
Yeah, he says, you think that, he's like, I've seen your games. When you're up by 10 points, are you satisfied? Like, is that, do you let your foot off the gas? No, you want to beat him by fucking 40. This is what I do. This is how I win. Great scene between those two. Man, Uncut Gems, not nominated for Best Picture.
That's crazy.
Crazy. And Julia Fox was Josh Safdie's muse when he wrote that.
That's right.
Has anyone fact-checked that, by the way?
It's definitely not true, right?
I knew that they told her forever, like, hey, we're working on this movie. You got to be part of it if and when we do it. Like, there's this big piece we need to make happen. It's someone who doesn't really know who we are, and we want him to be the lead. And if we can get him, then, like, we'll start making this movie. And, like, years and years were passing by, and then eventually they made it. But
like, how would she be the muse? Like, she's not like, I can't understand how she would draw like inspiration.
I mean, her character is. I mean, everyone's takeaway from that movie was like,
Who is this girl?
who? Like, yeah, like,
Yeah.
what a character, what a performance. Like, obviously, this is an astonishingly beautiful person. How is this the first that anyone's seen her
Right.
in movies? Because she's not. I don't know how old she is, but like, it wasn't like a 16, 17-year-old like actor making their debut, and
Right.
you're like, honestly, like,
Just kind of a hidden gem.
kind of similar. Like, if someone doesn't listen to Haim and sees Licorice Pizza, I'm sure they'll be like, where did this person come from? Where did this star of the movie, who's awesome in this movie, come from? But Yeah, I'd recommend lightly, if you want, doing a second Uncut Gems.
I have to be in the right space.
I did
It
it
is
in the
a
morning.
Very stressful experience.
I did it in the morning while drinking coffee. And
Okay, that's some
you could have
psycho shit.
breathed on me, and I would have just like disintegrated from a panic attack. So we've done for the Oscars mini episodes. We did Nightmare Alley and Coda. We quite liked both of those movies, and a big takeaway that you'll have in listening to those is I don't get the side eye that was cast upon Nightmare Alley.
I didn't know that existed. I didn't know anything about Nightmare Alley, and hearing that like people poo-pooed that movie,
Yeah.
at least like a little bit.
Rotten Tomatoes, bad numbers.
What are we talking
Critics.
about? Bad numbers. Like you said, it didn't crack 80, right?
Neither didn't crack 80 on
That's
either.
that's
79 score for critics and 68 audience score. Yo,
we're
like,
out
what
here,
were the
we're out here
68
handing like 90 somethings to Power of the Dog, and we're fucking having so much trouble with Nightmare Alley.
Yeah, it's
So if
better than Power of the
if,
Dog.
if you listen to this podcast and you legitimately think that Power of the Dog is a better movie than Nightmare Alley, and you've seen both of them, you have to have seen both of them. This is our Oscars rule. You got to see
Yeah.
the movies that you are arguing for. Let me know why Power of the Dog is better than Nightmare Alley.
Help us learn.
Yes, please.
I'm always down to have the discussion.
There are those movies where it's just like I don't know what I'm missing. I don't know why I don't get it as much as everybody else is getting it. From what I've seen, and maybe this is just like the echo chamber of Twitter, I've put out there many times that I did not like Power of the Dog. A lot of people did not like Power of the Dog.
It seems that, which is weird because you can't find that on any sort of review or certainly not on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
They're just like they're soaring.
I don't. And like the people that I have seen, they're like I've seen a lot of people be like, "Yeah, I wasn't a big fan, but the ending kind of rocked." And like the ending was fine. Like it made it somewhat. It was like one of the redeeming things about the movie
That it ended?
The few, yeah. And that, but like if I have to slog through fucking like 2 hours and 5 minutes to get to the last 10 minutes, which are okay, it's a bad movie.
Yeah. When are we seeing Studio 666? That's coming out, I believe, Friday.
What's that?
That's a movie about a band making an album, and they're in like a haunted house.
Is that the Foo Fighters movie?
It stars the
Oh,
Foo Fighters
boy.
as themselves. Yeah, it's Dave Grohl, Taylor Hawkins, Pat Smear, Chris Shiflett, and Nate Mendel. Also, Ravi, the guy from the Wallflowers that plays I forget his last name.
Okay.
Ravi Wallflowers.
I don't know. That might be a good palate.
Rami
Okay.
Rami Jaffe.
That might be a good palate cleanser, like an opposite palate cleanser for the Oscars. The Oscars watches.
We didn't we mean to? Did we end up doing that? We'd meant to. Oh, that's what it was. When we did the mini episodes last time, we did them on all the Best Picture noms. And
saw Escape Room.
And did we do one for Escape Room?
Well, we saw Escape Room right after the Oscars.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, but what we had considered doing was dropping another one, and it was just going to be Would You Rather. It was just going to be me explaining Would You Rather to you I think I've now done it twice on the podcast. I think that at that point it would have been the second time, but we didn't do it then. But maybe like a few months later, Would You Rather came back up. Lucas Hedges is in that movie, I think.
Would you rather? Really?
Would you rather?
That would shock me because Lucas Hedges seems to like only pick unbelievable projects.
Oh shoot! You know what? I think I'm confusing him
Yeah, I was
with
gonna say.
somebody else, but it's like in that realm. You know who it might be? What's homeboy from the Tender Bar?
Oh, shoot. Ty Sheridan?
I think it's Ty Sheridan. Let's get in there. Oh no, this is like somebody who I hope gets there, but he's just like a. Lucas Hedges probably is here, right? Ty Sheridan might be here.
Yeah.
Where's Logan Miller fallen?
I don't know who Logan Miller is.
Escape Room.
Yeah, I know, but I don't. Wait, show me him. Oh, that guy is way further below. Not to be mean, but
he's like in the mix. I think that if I can't get Lucas Hedges or Ty Sheridan, I'm saying, okay, let's get Logan Miller, and then we'll use the savings on, we'll write a new character and get a cool person for that. Logan Miller I like. He's known for starring in the Disney XD sitcom I'm in the Band, and he has also voiced Nova and Sam Alexander in the animated series Ultimate Spider-Man. In films, he's starred in A Dog's Purpose, Love, Simon, and Escape Room. Actually, he's kind of problematic in Love, Simon.
Ooh.
Right? He's the one that's like, if you don't tell your cute friend to date me,
I'm gonna tell everybody.
I'm
you're
gonna,
gay.
yeah.
Okay.
Right? And I can't remember
I
in
don't
that
know.
movie.
I've never seen that movie, but I saw.
You never saw
I never
Love,
saw
Simon?
it, but like I could see where that was coming from a mile away.
It was okay. It was like very. Look, we're just a bunch of high school kids. We go to Starbucks and listen to Bleachers. What? We're cool.
We like our Dunkin'.
Okay. Here's the thing about Starbucks.
I remember that. I remember the trailer being like, "Yeah, I'm just a typical high school kid. Me and my friends, we drive around, we get our iced coffees, and blah."
In the
blah,
background, it's like bum 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 boom bum 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 Bleachers. Jack Antonoff actually made an awesome song with Moo for that movie.
Yes.
Never
Yeah,
Fall in
yeah,
Love.
Yeah.
Oh you bad.
Bad.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that song was a real baddie. That
Song was famously not mid.
That wasn't mid. It was a baddie.
That song was bussin'.
We after the Father John Misty concert on Friday, on the way out, we need to loudly talk about like what songs were bussin', which ones were.
It's gonna be
baddie.
LA. We're probably gonna hear that shit anyway.
I know. Be like, oh my god, isn't Pure Comedy such a baddie? Yeah, we know, bro. Do you know there's a new Moo album?
Yes.
And it has been for like 2 weeks, and I haven't
Yeah.
listened to it at all.
Yeah, I did. It's okay.
I gotta check it out. I did pop on the new Spoon album, and you know Spoon?
I know. I've heard of Spoon. I've seen the shirts.
I don't like Spoon, but I like the idea. Or I like the idea of it more than I actually like Spoon. But you've seen shirts for Spoon?
Yeah,
Do they have cool shirts?
they're okay. I mean, they just say Spoon on them, so it's like catches my attention.
Nice. They I didn't realize that they'd put out like 2 albums since I had last listened to them. But I was like, oh man, like these guys hit every time. And then I was like, okay, I've just missed a bunch of their shit. But yeah, their most recent album's very good. They sing The Way We Get By. You definitely know that song. You know The Underdog. You definitely know The Underdog. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da. It's in I Love You, Man. You definitely know. Yourself in a living room.
I mean, I probably have heard it.
Dude, it's what's a third one? Not bussin', not mid, not baddie. What's another one that they would say?
Goated.
It's goated. Yo, Spoon is goated. Check them out.